Imagine we can go back in time to 1999, kidnap a Hyundai salesman from a dealership, and bring him to the present. Once he stops screaming, he's going to have some questions. Where's my family? What the hell is TikTok? The president is who? But honestly, the most shocking thing for him would probably be what's become of his humble little brand in the last 25 years. Because back then, Hyundai was a joke.
It's a Hyundai! Yeah!
It's okay, we can be honest here. The Korean automaker was barely an afterthought outside of its home country, making forgettable, unoriginal, and frankly terrible cars for buyers who couldn't afford anything else, couldn't care less about what they're driving, and couldn't imagine the feeling of joy in their lives. Some people still look at Hyundai that way. Like a lot of you, I get asked for car recommendations by family and friends all the time. And more, I find myself telling people to check out Hyundai. Today, Hyundai Motor Group, encompassing Hyundai, Kia, and now Genesis, is the third largest automaker in the world, with a complete lineup of stellar automobiles at nearly every price point. All with razor-sharp design, thoughtful interiors, segment-leading technology, great driving dynamics, and a, let's call it, acceptable number of defects. Its N Performance division is toiling away building incredibly fun, enthusiast-bait cars that defy the idea that you've got to cater to boring people to make a buck. And outside of Tesla, it's also become the default choice for EV buyers seeking excellent value with a touch of upmarket class. It's time to recognize that Hyundai is for real, and to appreciate just how it pulled off such a dramatic transformation under our noses. It did it by focusing on three things: reliability, design, and fun. So take a walk with me and see how they did it. I used 1999 as an example at the top because really that was the year everything started to change for Hyundai. Now, Hyundai as a car company is unique because it sits under the umbrella of the Hyundai Group, an engineering powerhouse founded in the wake of the Korean War that makes everything from cargo ships to elevators to heavy construction equipment to steel. It's one of the most important corporations in South Korea, and its founder Chung Yu-Yung was an all-powerful force who pushed it into building cars with the creation of Hyundai Motors as one of its many subsidiaries in 1968. Hyundai soon learned what many who'd walked that road before had discovered: building cars is hard. It tried, it really did, but as Japanese imports took the world by storm, all Hyundai really accomplished in those first 30 years was convincing people that Korean cars were cheap and bad.
Because you drove a Hyundai to get here tonight, I drove an $80,000 BMW. That's my name.
A lesser company would have folded after that, but because Hyundai Motors was just one part of that larger corporate empire, and its cars dominated the Korean market at home, it was able to ride through the storm and stay afloat. But in 1999, after purchasing Kia during a late 90s financial crisis in Asia, Chung Yu-Yung finally turned over control of Hyundai Motors to his son, Chung Mong-koo. And Chung Mong-koo had a plan to turn things around. He started by addressing his car's dismal quality head-on with the introduction of the famous Hyundai Advantage 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Worried about your accent crapping out on you? Don't be. Now, a warranty is no guarantee of reliability, but the offer was enough to increase Hyundai sales by 80%. And critically, Hyundai didn't stop with a hollow promise. Instead, it plowed money into overhauling its design, engineering, and manufacturing processes. In 1999, Hyundai was ranked among the worst in initial quality by J.D. Power and Associates. By 2004, they were tied for second with Honda. Rewriting the numbers on reliability is one thing, but rewriting a company's entire reputation is another. I'm not going to stand here and pretend that the 2000s were some golden age for Hyundai and we were all just too stuck up to notice. The cars were better, sure, but still looked and felt cheap. The Hyundai Accent was a generic box of a car that could have had its initial concept art done by a 6-year-old. But that was downright stylish when you compare it to the mid-2000s Elantra, the Sonata, and the XG350, whatever the f that was. All completely different cars that Hyundai was making at the time, but you wouldn't know it by looking at them. And SUVs were an afterthought. Honestly, this is the 2005 Hyundai Santa Fe, and this is the 2005 Tucson. I can't tell the difference. The only thing it really offered at the time was value, but it just takes one look at Nissan to see that simply undercutting the competition on price only gets you so far. But Dig a little deeper, and you can see how Hyundai planted the seeds for today's renaissance. Chung Yu-Yung quickly realized that the automaker would always have a hard ceiling on its growth if it couldn't crack the US market for real, and enacted a plan to double down on the US. Between 2003 and 2005, Hyundai opened a massive new design center and proving grounds in California, a state-of-the-art engineering base in Michigan, and its first American manufacturing facility in Alabama. This was huge because Korean business culture is very hierarchical, built around top-down authority and respect for your superiors. Decisions like which cars to build and where were previously made by an isolated few in Korea and then filtered out into the world. With this push into the US, though, Hyundai took the first major step towards recognizing that to be a major global automaker, it needed to let the folks in charge of running its most important market start calling shots. And guess what? It worked. By the end of the decade, Hyundai had become the world's fourth largest automaker, and it's honestly never looked back. It launched its first luxury car, the Hyundai Genesis, and took home its first North American Car of the Year award. Crucially, its designs, which frankly drive more car purchasing decisions than any of us would like to admit, were getting better and better every year. And that didn't happen by magic. Instead, it was the result of another key choice that Hyundai continues to make to this day: hiring away the best of the best. So while Hyundai was busy cutting the ribbon on its fancy new facilities in America, it was also working hard to recruit a couple of top-flight designers: Peter Schreier, the former Audi design head responsible for the Audi TT, and Thomas Burkle, the BMW designer who did a lot of work on the E46 3 Series. Together, the two of them started pushing Hyundai design far beyond its conservative roots. Hiring the best is an age-old strategy, and it's actually one Hyundai used for decades. Its first South Korean-made car in the 1970s, the Pony, came out of poaching the managing director of Austin Morris and a group of other Brits. What was different starting in the 2000s was honestly that it just made better choices. That continued in the 2010s after Hyundai made the decision to take performance seriously, another area that leadership in South Korea had previously written off. What really set things in motion, though, was headhunting Albert Biermann, the former chief engineer of BMW's M division, and bringing him on to head up vehicle testing, driving dynamics, and performance development. That in turn set the stage for Hyundai to launch its own N performance division in 2015. Some will tell you that N refers to the Namyang district in South Korea, where Hyundai is based. Others will tell you it's named for the Nürburgring. I like to think it's just what comes after M. Next up, Luc Donkervalk, the former head of design for Lamborghini and Bentley, who came on board in 2015. Surely Dieselgate had nothing to do with it.
When I started, we noticed that we needed to make a big jump.
Luke set out to make a statement about what Korean design should look like in a car and started work on giving models like the Elantra, Sonata, Palisade, and Tucson a distinct yet cohesive identity. He also gave Hyundai the clout and experience to launch Genesis as a standalone luxury brand in 2015, and while it hasn't exactly outsold Lexus since then, its cars are undeniably excellent and look classier than stuff costing twice as much. On the heels of Luke came designer Sang-Yup Lee, who spent the 2000s at GM working on the C6 Corvette and the 2010 Camaro before joining Bentley as head of exterior design. After following Luke to Hyundai, he became the driving force behind Hyundai's retro-inflected design language that we see today on models like the Ioniq EVs and the new boxy Santa Fe. And then there's Jose Munoz, a literal nuclear physicist who joined Hyundai in 2019 as its CEO of North America and global COO before rising to CEO of the whole shebang in January 2025. Formerly the head of performance at Nissan, he ran North American operations for the Japanese automaker in close coordination with former CEO and current international fugitive Carlos Ghosn. I actually interviewed Ghosn from his hideout in Lebanon back in 2021, and he called out Nissan's decision to let Munoz go as one of the dumbest things the company has ever done, and that we'd all soon see what Munoz could really do at Hyundai. Whatever you think about Ghosn, can't say he was wrong there. But why was Munoz so important? In an interview with California Review Management, an academic business journal put out by UC Berkeley, Munoz stressed that when he arrived, there was still too much of a Korean-centric approach in Hyundai's global operations. You need the right amount of autonomy for the various divisions within a massive enterprise like Hyundai, and he's worked methodically to improve coordination, decentralize decision-making, and find localized solutions to streamline operations on every front, from manufacturing all the way down to dealers. You're not going to read a lot of press releases about this kind of stuff because it's boring and really doesn't make a great headline, but without it, Hyundai wouldn't be where it is today. But what about the cars? I mean, you can hire the best people and still end up building a pile of crap that no one wants. Thankfully, Hyundai didn't do that. It didn't hire Biermann to make a cheap knockoff of BMW M. It put massive resources behind building real performance vehicles for enthusiasts with real credibility, starting its North American lineup with the Veloster N in 2018. This sporty liftback had a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine initially making 247 horsepower, optional limited slip diff, and at launch was only available with a manual transmission. This is a far cry from the Tiburon, and more than anything, the Veloster N began to define a real visual style for Hyundai. Compared to the regular models, the N had overall more aggressive styling, red accents on the front lip and rear diffuser, and this big rear wing. Hyundai put real thought into the colors these versions would be available in to help make the red accents pop, including this sky blue shade Hyundai has now adopted as their official racing color. From there, the N division expanded. In motorsport, it won back-to-back WRC championships with the i30, it entered the Veloster and the Elantra N into touring car, began to bring EVs, both stock and modified, to the Pikes Peak Hill Climb, and it even competed in the 24-hour race at the Nürburgring. And on the road, they went just as diverse. Hyundai gave the N treatment to the i20, i30, and Veloster hatchbacks, but also to the Elantra and the Kona and their EVs, the Ioniq 5 and 6. Vastly different cars sharing an ethos of being fun for the driver. All the while, it was seriously punching up its regular cars too. Those big-name designers pumped out a steady stream of aspirational concepts whose designs soon translated to workaday sedans and SUVs. But what really made them stand out were their differences. You see, SsangYup Lee has doubled down on Luke's approach when it comes to design across the fleet. Many manufacturers opt for what's been called Russian doll design. If you want things to feel similar, then you make everything the same, just different sizes. For some companies with a storied history, that can really work. Take BMW, for example. The 7 Series is just a bigger 5 Series, is just a bigger 3 Series. But BMW in general is so recognizable that they can get away with this. We've seen the same methodology fail with companies like Buick who don't have the recognizability or consistency for buyers to tell their cars apart. When building a brand identity from the ground up, Hyundai preferred to go with a chess set design methodology. The king, the queen, the bishop, and the knight all look distinctly different, but when you put them side by side, they feel like a cohesive set. This means that each car is designed around what will make it successful in its own segment, rather than what will make it match the rest of the fleet. Take a look at the current Hyundai Santa Fe. It breaks from the streamlined styling of other SUVs like the Chevy Equinox, even though Hyundai still goes more conventional with crossovers like the Tucson. In a time when plenty of companies are experimenting with going back to 80s boxiness, Hyundai went full send. Which brings up another good point, that this approach to design only works if you're able to go bold with styling. And that's exactly what Hyundai did. The Veloster was an aggressively styled hatchback with a rear so short that Hyundai had to make it a 4-door, or 3-door? Well, however you look at it, the Veloster had 1 door on the driver's side, but 2 doors on the passenger side. The front door was shorter because it would be used less often, and the back seats were accessible through a high-handled rear door. Oh, God. If nothing else, it certainly made the car unique, and probably not sell that great. But regardless. Hyundai took big swings again with the half-truck, half-crossover SUV, the Santa Cruz, and then again with their sleek Ioniq 6. They've had some misses for sure. The new Kona looks way too much like an EV, and I have no idea who the Venue is for. But it's better to be known for trying things than not known at all. Probably the most recognizable choice, though, is Hyundai's parametric pixel design language for its EVs. It's designed to evoke the feeling of melding the past and the present, the analog and the digital, what we were told the future would look like and what we now know it can be. Or it's just some squares. You decide. We actually did a whole video on the resurgence of 80s car design through retrofuturism, and the Ioniq 5 was a big part of it. Regardless of how effective you find it, you can see that Hyundai is using this unique style to set them apart in a heavily saturated market. And with each segment, Hyundai focuses on where their car can outshine the competition, whether that's in design, performance, or price. The engineering, definitely lagged a bit. That's how you end up with headaches big and small, like its massive Theta 2 engine failure recall, which we still get emails about today, or its issue with smelly headrests in the Palisade, our coverage of which prompted a very upset phone call from Hyundai's PR departments. They're also still smarting from the rampant thefts of Hyundai and Kia models in recent years. Hello, Kia boys. That came about primarily because the typical immobilizer was removed as part of cost cutting. But even with the Theta 2 debacle, Hyundai went farther than most and offered a lifetime warranty on 2.3 million affected engines, plus compensation for related costs of tows, rentals, and other hardships caused by the failures. They'll even honor that warranty on a used car. You don't have to be the original owner to claim it. That's pretty good. And when it comes to the N division specifically, Hyundai has been putting a lot of effort into making cars that are fun to drive, even if the performance isn't actually better. In 2022, Hyundai introduced their 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. In an effort to make it just as engaging and fun as the manual, Hyundai put in all kinds of bells and whistles like N-Track Sense Shift for sportier response, N-Power Shift when you're above 90% throttle, and N-Grin Shift. I know these names are not good, but bear with me. Basically, Grin Shift is a button, and once you hit it, you have 20 seconds of a loud overboost from the turbo. If you hit the throttle, the transmission will drop down several gears to give you the maximum acceleration possible. Then there's the Ioniq 5N, the only EV built to drift. The 5N also has a function called E-Shift that mimics the 8-speed DCT in its gas cars. You can bog it, bounce it off the rev limiter, whatever you want. Some people hate it, but it's a hateful world. I say, have some fun. Does it make the 5N faster? No, but it's a blast.
Holy crap! Holy shit! No way!
And even though it's a dual-motor all-wheel drive EV, you can bias torque to the rear because Hyundai knows that's what we want to do. They didn't make something faster than a Plaid or a Lucid Air. They made an EV that attempted to address the complaints enthusiasts had with those cars. And the E-Shift feature has been so well received that even Porsche is copying it for the 2027 Taycan. One of the reasons it's so much easier to get on board with Hyundai now is that Hyundai is so eager to show us where it wants to be in the future. Hyundai has been killing it with concept cars in the last 10 years, easily the most notable of which is the Vision 74. Pulling inspiration from the 1974 Hyundai Pony, the Vision 74 made a huge splash in 2022 with just a few photos. And then people saw it driving. I think a lot of concept cars look completely unrealistic, but the Vision 74 is the opposite. Though what is a little more unrealistic is that it's a hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicle. It's very fair to doubt hydrogen, and we'll see how it actually is powered when Hyundai reveals a production version in 2026, but you can bet it'll look pretty damn close to the concept. Hyundai's pretty good about that too. For example, the Ioniq 6 is a pretty close match to the 2020 Hyundai Prophecy concept. As much as I love 80s throwback hybrid time machines, I think Hyundai's biggest successes are when they catch you unawares. No one was expecting the Veloster, and it became a quirky option against the visually stagnant Mini Cooper, Honda Civic, and VW Golf. The Ioniq 5 was a throwback to the past, just when we were being told that the future looked like a Tesla Model 3. They may not always be the fastest cars or the best selling, but they have more personality than most of the cars they compete with. And they're now reliable and enjoyable enough to back that up. But ultimately, the way the cars look now isn't the reason Hyundai is a success. It's the result of its success, which you can trace back over 2 decades of very deliberate choices, all made with the end goal of total transformation. In an age where most automakers feel like they're regressing, Hyundai is relentlessly pushing forward. And whatever problems the global auto industry faces today, it's undeniable that Hyundai has gone from an afterthought to a leader. But what do you think about this new look Hyundai? Has it changed your opinion on cars from Korea? And where can we place bets on the Vision 74 launch date? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Hold on, I gotta burp. There's your outtake.